Concerto da Camera is a composition for solo guitar, solo violoncello, soprano, and 20 strings, by the contemporary Chinese-British composer Jeffrey Ching. Analytical description. The composer describes the composition as a quintuple concerto for the 5 nationalities of its original begetters: German for the guitarist Reinbert Evers, Lithuanian for his wife, the pianist Igina Mauzite, although the concerto never included a piano part; Brazilian for the cellist Maestra Oliveira Pinto, the Spanish ancestry of the composer's wife, the soprano Andean Fernandez, and the composer's own Chinese parentage. Composed in Berlin between the 2nd of March and the 2nd of July 2008 and revised in 2011-2012. The concerto is about half an hour in duration, and divides into a slow and a quick movement, in each of which the 5 musical races combine in diverse ways. The opening, Passacaglia la Sarabande, alternates 3 statements of a violnius motto, AAEGAGEB, with 3 presentations of the sarabande from J.S. Bach's 5th Suite for unaccompanied cello, BWV 1011, each incorporating some figurative or abstract representation of a national element, Sheng-type chords, quotations of zither music, and poetic fragments from medieval China, the rhythms and harmonies of Brazilian indigenous and popular music, the dissonant polyphony, nonsense syllables, and wide vocal glissandi of the Lithuanian sutartines, and in the optional soprano solo at the movement's core, some Spanish lines from Cervantes' Don Quixote. The concluding, Fuga concertante, exactly doubles the proportions of the finale of J.S. Bach's 4th Brandenburg Concerto, BWV 1049, as well as literally doubling its contrapuntal premise into a double fugue on 2 Lithuanian folk songs. As in the Bach, the fugal ritornelli are interspersed with elaborate cadenzas for the instrumental soloists, in one place in the form of the actual tracing on the guitar and cello fingerboards of the Chinese brush strokes for the ideographs for broken string, where the movement divides at the golden ratio. The string players stand and slash the air with their bows, to announce a structural demarcation usually left concealed by composers. During the 5th ritornello, the soprano's first movement solo recurs in fragmentary guise as a wordless vocalize, so that in this movement the Spanish as well as Chinese presence survives only in elusive form. On the other hand, the Afro-Brazilian elements come into their own as a candomblé ceremony in miniature. The ethnomusical logically documented drumming, cowbell, and clapping effects all mimicked by the string orchestra and solo guitar without any actual percussion. The concerto ends with the dense baroque counterpoint of solo guitar and cello unwinding into silence like a run-down motor, by means of well-coordinated coups de grace administered to the soloist's tuning pegs by 3 players from the orchestra. Premiere. As a result of the audience prize awarded the composer's Opera Das Waisenkind for the 2009-10 season. The work was premiered by the Erfurt Philharmonic under Walter E. Gudebauer in Theater Erfurt on 19–20 January 2012. The soloists were Reinbert Evers, guitar, Maestra Oliveira Pinto, violoncello, and Andean Fernandez, soprano. Reception. Critical reception was divided. One review stating boldly, "Music ist es nicht," but another was more enthusiastic. Jeffrey Ching, born in 1965 in the former Spanish-American colony of the Philippines, the son of Chinese Buddhist parents, presents himself in his musical work as a wanderer between cultures. The pieces of the composer, who in 2009 won the audience prize for the Orphan in Theater Erfurt, are filled with musical elements of the cultures that influence him. Likewise, the two movements of his Concerto da Camera filled with Chinese, Spanish, Brazilian, but also Lithuanian musical cultures. For unpracticed listeners, even for those with some characteristic musical quotations of these countries in mind, it turned out to be a demanding task to identify them. Both the string orchestra and the soloists on guitar and cello were given special tasks. Performers are rarely to be seen blowing into the sound holes of their instruments. The entire ensemble was to be heard speaking archaic sounds or playing on the music stands instead of the violins. Jeffrey Ching certainly intended some sort of musical irony here and there, but the serious composer and his virtuoso ability always emerged. Tearing at the strings aroused associations with China. Folksong elements conjured up images of Memel villages. String players knocked percussive Latin American rhythms on their instruments, and there was always a conscious allusion to the music of Bach. Counterpoint and polyphony in dissonant and abstracted form. The musicologist in any case took pleasure in decipherment. The enthusiast of contemporary orchestral music, in the provocation on stage and the musical wing of the creator. Program brochure for the Fourth Symphony Concert of the Erfurt Philharmonic Orchestra. Erfurt, 19–20 January 2012. Jeffrey Ching's official website. Access 24 January 2012.